Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Conversations with Brian and Elijah, episode number 21. And today we have an interesting one. We have a little bit of a different format that we're trying to work with here called the hot takes format, where basically we're going to take a handful of topics and kind of do like a 6 minute kind of back and forth hot take and see how it goes. I mean, you guys let us know if you like it or not, and we'll continue the format. What do you
Yeah,
think,
I'm,
Elijah?
I'm excited to try this out. I
Let's
think
do
it'd
it.
be interesting because, Brian and I, we can go so deep on one topic, which I think we'll still do those type of podcasts too.
Yeah,
But I think this
yeah.
would be interesting too because we can cover a whole bunch of things, and I think this will allow us to, cover some current topics once in a while too. And I think that's
Yep,
just pretty interesting.
yep.
So
All right, cool. So let's jump into the first topic. We have about six or so topics today. No, actually five. I think five topics.
5 topics.
Um,
Go for 6 minutes each.
okay, 6 minutes each. Yep.
That's our time
Okay.
limit. So we're putting a
Yep.
limit on ourselves. So
Okay, cool. So for the first topic is managing work schedules and sort of like daily routines. So
mm,
I initially proposed this topic, and the reason being is I don't know. I imagine you might be the same way, Elijah. Is I tend to I like to kind of be overwhelmed a little bit, if that makes any sense, because it kind of makes like my life interesting, or not overwhelmed, but I
mm.
like to be doing a lot of different
Like to
things
stay
at one.
active. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
like to be doing things, and if I'm
Yep.
not doing something,
Yep.
I'm like, man.
Preaching.
And what's weird is like the definition of what doing something is, right? So like when I was going to college, just going to college by itself was not enough for me. Like I needed to have like two or three other things going on.
Mm,
And so now I think I'm getting to the point where it's like, okay, I have a couple different things going on, and I'm having trouble kind of managing all that.
mm.
And so like I'm kind of with school, I would have kind of like a Google Calendar set up, and I would have like time slots and stuff.
Yep.
But I don't know if that's um, working so far, because it seems like once I get invested in one thing, I just like I go on a roll and I just want to keep doing that and that and that, and then I forget about everything else. So I don't know how you are. What's kind of like your how do you manage work? Do you just kind of like, wake up and it's like, okay, I kind of feel like doing this today. Let me do that. And then the next day it's something different? Or do you kind of have like a schedule type?
Yeah. So, very interesting. I first started out saying that, yeah, that's what stay ambitious means, right? That's what I always say, stay
Oh,
ambitious, because that's like, you always should be doing something. It creates fulfillment when you're chasing after something that gives you a purpose in life. It gives you that direction that you need, to go in. But I like to stay on a routine, right? And it's not always easy to stay on a routine, but when I'm at my best self, when I'm really going after things in life, when I'm my most ambitious self, I'm on a routine. And so, that's like, wake up in the morning at a certain time. That's get this thing done. That's get that thing done, and just keep going at it. Um, and so that's kind of what I like to do with that. But
yeah.
I think what you're getting at is work. What's it called work life balance, right?
Yes. So like, I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm just talking about just work balance.
Like
Um,
with a few
cause
things.
yeah, cause I feel like work-life balance, I'm not, I think it's in balance right now, I think. And so like I'm comfortable with it, but right now I just feel like I'm kind of trying to experiment with different things. And like for example, this morning, and I have this thing where sometimes I can't go to sleep if there's still something pending. And so like, dude, sometimes I'll be like laying in bed, I'm like, man, I didn't get a chance to finish that. And I'll try to go to sleep, and then I'll be like, man, I really need to finish it. So I'll just get up and I'll just go do
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And like,
so about that, right? What I realized, so when I was in high school, what I used to do, and I did not really like high school, to be honest with you. But what I did in order to not fail my classes is I would go into different modes throughout the day. And it's all a matter of the mindset, right? So when I was at high school, I would go, okay, I'm at high school now. I'm thinking, and a lot of times I would have to make sure I would follow this because, my brain wanders a lot. But when I was in high school, when I was in class, I'd have to be, okay, I'm thinking about class right now. I'm thinking about school. That's what my focus. Literally, as soon as the bell rings, I would then change my mind to, okay, destroy the chain. Let me focus on destroy the chain now. Like I'd start thinking ideas. What can I do? How can I create more awareness? How can I raise more money? All that stuff. And that's what I do. So you got to have a different, period of time. When I'm with my friends, right? Put the phone away, right? I try to be off my phone when I'm with my friends because I want to give them my full attention, right? I don't want to be doing business stuff when I'm with my friends. Now, sometimes I have to, right? There's exceptions, but you got to just lock in on everything you're doing and then cut everything else off. And so, like, for example, what I'm trying to get at there is have a free period for yourself, I think. Like, okay, this period I'm not going to work or I'm not going to think about work, and do that maybe towards the end of the day so that you can start to relax and then get into a sleep type of mood, right? And so okay, I'm not going to worry about work anymore. Work is only from 8 to 12 or whatever, right? 9 to 5. Other than that, I'm done, because in order to do your best work, you have to be well rested. If you're always working, I think the quality of the work that you're doing is going to suck, and then it's not even the best work that you could be doing. So I kind of think I actually think it improves your work by taking a rest period.
Yeah. And we're down to our last minute here. Yeah, like I would think it's just I've had some trouble. I guess I'm just getting too restless. I'm like, man, like, I'm graduated now. Like, let me just get it right now. Like I get kind of impatient. And so, yeah, it's difficult to juggle a couple different things. And I've tried to experiment with like Google Calendar. I woke up this morning. I forced myself to wake up, not hit the snooze button. I woke up like at 8:30. I usually wake up like at 9:30, 10. Because I wanted to get a head start in the day. You know what I mean? I wanted to be like, okay, let me get a head start. Let me work as early as possible. So that way later I'm not, kind of stressing out about things.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm tackling.
When do you typically go to bed?
Dude, it depends, bro. Like last night, I had to force myself to go to bed like at midnight. But I usually go to bed like 1. And so, yeah, I'm trying to go to sleep earlier too. That's the thing. But yeah, cool. Hot take number 1.
Nice.
I
think something too I want to throw in about the hot take is if we're on our last thought, we don't have to go 6, cut it, right? We can
boom.
Yep. We can finish the last thought or whatever.
Yeah,
okay, cool. Hot take 1.
Okay, hot take 2. This one's gonna be an interesting one.
Yes, I love this one.
This one is the best. Like honestly, dude, we should try to see if we could do a full-fledged on this one.
I'll get our man on here with us too. You know what I'm talking about.
Shout
out. Coffee.
Let's go, Coffeezilla. Shout out Coffeezilla. Shout out Mike Winnett. Shout out Spencer Cornelia. All these dudes, they're like really exposing all the fake gurus.
Which is our next hot take.
I love watching them. Our next topic is fake gurus.
Fake gurus.
Elijah, I took.
Tell me when you start the timer, though. Tell me when you start the timer, because that last time I didn't even know we started.
Start it now.
All right. Hot take number 2, fake gurus. So, so fake gurus, basically anybody that sells a course online, to be honest with you, like 99% of people that sell a course online are probably a fake guru. And these people, they run a bunch of ads, and they all start the ads the same and say, hi there, I'm not trying to sell you anything. And then 2 minutes later, they tell you, but I'm going to tell you how to get rich by buying my course. You literally just said you're not going to sell me anything. They're all the same. They're all the same. They say, oh, I'm going to show you how to get money. Or they pose with a Lamborghini behind them. They have supermodels around them. They have a bunch of cash on the desk. And they, fake gurus, 101. Fake gurus 101. Can't stand them.
Yeah, fake gurus. So all these like IG sort of like, let me just flash this and sell you a course. And what's really interesting is a lot of them claim to be businessmen, right? But their business is selling a course, which is like kind of a paradox. It's not really they're a full-time business, right? Yeah. And what's really kind of irritating sometimes is when they sell you a course, but they're not even the ones teaching the course. They hire someone to teach the course. And so like, how do you claim to be this, guru, yet you don't even know anything about the topic? And what's really interesting and what honestly sucks about this whole thing and why I don't even have any sort of remorse by exposing them is because of the people that they prey on, dude. the people that they prey on. What sucks is a lot of times these people are like, have at a really tough point in their life. They're like, man, I just lost my job. I'm going to this tough point. And, they see someone promising them all these things. They're like, you know what? Why don't I just take a shot with them? And then they get scammed. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
for tons of
Um,
money,
yeah, tons and tons of money.
like tens of
And
thousands of dollars. Like,
yeah, these
yeah.
courses are not cheap. You know what I mean? A lot of them are like dude, there's a course I think for like 10 grand, like a Tai
And,
Lopez.
and what they try to do is really, really scummy, dude. They say, oh, if you're serious about becoming rich, then you're being willing to take a risk and pay a little bit at
Yep.
first.
Yep.
No, man. No. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, knowledge, to be honest with you, should be free for the most part, right? It really should be free for the most part. If you have good stuff to say, it's a winning strategy to put it out for free and to monetize in a different way. Like, come up with a
Yeah.
real product or something.
Yeah.
Like, write a book. Okay, you could charge for a book. Okay, you could charge for a book. That's different. But like, why a course and a whole thing when you could just upload it to YouTube for free? I mean, it's basically the same thing, right? Like,
Yeah. And I think what sucks is, knowledge should be free. And, if this was like the 1950s, 1940s, that would be like an idealistic thing. But now knowledge is free. It's called Google search. You know what I mean? Like if you want to learn how to start a business or how to do something, you want to learn more about finance, real estate and stocks and all this stuff, you could do Google searches. You know what I mean? It's not like you have to spend, money on a course. And what sucks is how these gurus justify it is they say, well, that's going to take you a long time to do. You know what I mean? Let me be your mentor. Let me shortcut this for you. You know what I mean? Like, why would you go do all that research when I have the information right here in front of my desk?
Bro, what is up with all these dudes saying mentor? Mentor. I need to find a mentor. You don't need to find a mentor. Where did that seriously, where did that come from? Where did the idea that I need to find a mentor and I'll be your mentor, where did that come from?
Yeah. I have no idea. But what sucks, dude, is I highly doubt that you pay someone $10,000 for a course that they're going to personally mentor you one-on-one. A lot of times these courses is just they throw you in a giant group chat and they have occasional Zoom calls, and you're not even mentored. They're not even living up to what they're promising. You don't need a mentor, but even the people that want a mentor or some kind of mentorship, there's plenty of real mentors that you can get like in real life. If you go intern for a company, there's bound to be someone to kind of give you some kind of advice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mentor, I mean, really everyone just wants advice, right? And you could get advice from anyone, not necessarily just a mentor. You know what I mean?
And get it from someone that's credible.
Exactly.
I mean, these guys have no credit. They have not built a business. They literally make their money by telling you how to build a business, which they have never built.
Yeah. And again,
that makes no sense.
If this was the 1940s, right? I really want a mentor. I want all this stuff. Dude, now you can watch a 50-minute Jeff Bezos interview or a, 2-hour-long Warren Buffett speech. You know what I mean? The knowledge is not, confined to like a network now. It's like literally on the internet for free if you want to know.
People just need to stop being lazy and search for it, right?
Yeah.
Literally, if you want to learn something, you can.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and then I mean, what credit do you put on the actual guru too? That kind of has these skeevish like marketing schemes and like really manipulative tactics. What do you think about that? Like, Lambos, and they really try to mislead you into thinking that they're wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
They're not.
It just doesn't. I mean, that doesn't even prove anything. Like, why is a Lambo or the cash or the supermodels or any of the superficial stuff, like, that doesn't display that you have business knowledge at all? Like, I want to see your track record. Like, show me a business that you built and how successful it's been. And if it's successful, then okay, you are credible. But show me your Lamborghini that you rented, that your mansion that you also rented, and the girls who you probably paid to be around you, they probably don't even like you. I mean, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's like, it's insecurity, right? At the end of the day, it's like, I think it's really, what really sucks is they're feeding into insecurity. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, if you're unhappy, maybe a Lambo and, some supermodels will make you happy, supposedly, but it won't.
It won't.
So yeah, so that's hot take number 2, fake gurus. What a great topic. All right, you ready to move into number 3?
Let's do it.
All right, number 3, real estate versus stocks. It's always an interesting concept. I've been looking into stocks for the past 10 months. And by looking into, I mean like kind of learning more about them and what they are and, the whole finance ideas and stuff. But lately I've been looking into real estate too, and kind of like, owning, there's a lot of people that say, stocks aren't physical or tangible. You can't, hold or feel your stock, but, you can see your real estate. So therefore it has more inherent value. Which,
why does it have more value if you could like?
I mean, I guess there's some kind of romanticized, you could see something versus, it just being a number or just like something on a graph, some kind of romance about that. But I don't know. What do you think about real estate versus stocks?
Yeah, well, I mean, so I've heard there's pros and cons to both, of course. I mean,
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, he said that basically, people always talk about how much money you could lose from stocks, but they forget, he said, they never talk about how much money you could lose from real estate too. I mean, you could lose money from real estate.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, there's a lot of things that can happen there. And really, I think it comes down to convenience for me, at least. Like when it comes to real estate, like, dude, you have to do a lot more work. I think it's a lot more work than the stock market. You
yeah,
have to pay people. You have to physically keep it up, right? You need insurance. You need all these like tenants, like stuff like that, right? You have to repair stuff like toilets and a lot of stuff. You have to keep. You have to find people to rent from you or to if you're selling it, right, to flip it. I mean, there's a lot more work to it. Stock market, you could literally be in your
yeah,
bed and
yeah.
literally, you could be in the bathroom and be making money, literally.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's I think that's one of the major things for me is convenience. But
yeah,
I mean, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki is real big on real estate.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, dude, I've skimmed through that book. I need to read it in
Oh
its
yeah, you got to read
entirety.
that book, bro.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
book.
But yeah, I think so. Warren Buffett has this quote, or I saw an interview of him where you could kind of build your business empire, starting small, by owning a bunch of different stocks and then just building it up over time. But what I think is interesting, right, is real estate is sort of, you have to be inherently long term for real estate. You have to be long term. You can't day trade real estate, right?
No.
Whereas stocks, it's kind of, you have that temptation where it's like, okay, I could sell it right now if I wanted to. And so I think with real estate, it's weird because, well, here are the pros and cons, right? You can take out, the bank will loan you money to buy a piece of real estate, whereas the bank won't loan you money to buy stocks,
True.
which means you can own something and build equity for, you don't take as much risk.
Yeah.
But you also have to put down more capital in real estate, right? A down payment on a house is way more than, I mean, you could buy a fractional share of Microsoft if you wanted to for like $10. So I think there's pros and cons to both. And I've heard a lot of the whole, for retirement, building up a 401k stock portfolio versus building up a real estate portfolio and having rental income. So I think there's pros and cons to both. Ideally, you can do both. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you could do both. You don't
Yeah.
have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki says something interesting in his book. He talks about how he uses other people's money, is what he calls it. Basically, he takes money from the bank, okay, and then money he did not have, by the way, he then buys a property, okay, and then he charges rent. So the person that rents from him, he charges rent higher than his monthly mortgage payment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's making profit on something that he didn't even have money to buy in the first place. He
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
created money out of nothing.
Yep,
Does that
it
make
cash flows. Yeah, yeah, it
that
cash
clear? Yeah,
flows.
yeah.
The property cash flows every month. And what's interesting is, so right now the government just printed a bunch of money, right? What does that do to debt? It shrinks it. So inflation is good for people that owe debt because over time
Yeah.
the debt shrinks, right?
Yep.
So we know that inflation every year is going to happen. So if you
Mhm.
own real estate that has debt on it, um, it's like, you're owing less money. A lot of times it's free money, especially now with low interest rates and all that stuff.
Basically, yeah.
It's like free money. And so, yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both. And I definitely think people should do both.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can if you want to, or you can do,
Yeah. Yep.
do whatever you're good at.
Yep. Did you set a timer for this one? Because I forgot.
I did not. So let's call
Okay.
that hot take number
Hot
3.
take 3. Boom. Let's do it. All right. Number 4, one that's kind of up your alley a little bit, right?
Oh,
Nonprofit versus for-profit, right?
okay.
So this idea of, um, you know, you have a cause. Is it better to fix that cause nonprofit, or is it better to do it for profit, or what are the pros and cons of each one? Take it away.
Yeah. So for the people that don't know, I run a nonprofit organization.
Yep.
So I guess I have some insight there. Basically, I think it depends. I really think that, and people may be surprised by my answer, I think that nonprofits aren't always the best way to solve problems. Like, it really depends on the supply and demand, I think, right? So if it's something that is really rare, like a rare disease, then yeah, a nonprofit would make sense there, right? Because then you can get large donors to match the short amount of basically demand or interest of the disease, if that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and there's other things that go into it, but if you look at like companies like Tesla, right? I mean, they have a cause too. They're a for-profit company and they're doing a great job. If you can have a product that people are gonna want to buy, you're gonna do a lot for that particular cause that you're trying to accomplish. I think that's the most efficient way
Mm-hmm.
to do it. Where a nonprofit's a lot different. If you don't really have a product, which a lot of nonprofits don't, um, you know, it's going to be harder to persuade people. You're going to really have to up your marketing game and really convince people to donate money to you. Um, both are both needed, I think, right now.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so nonprofit versus for-profit. Yeah, so I think if you can figure out a way to build a business model on top of something that you really care about,
Mm-hmm.
dude, you're gonna profoundly make an impact on the cause in the world, and you'll be able to recycle that money back into the cause, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's naturally more efficient. But I think there is a space for nonprofits to
Yeah.
still exist.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it's just a different business model because now you have to kind of get donations as opposed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess you could still offer a product as a nonprofit, right?
You can.
Yeah.
The other thing too about nonprofits is you could use those donations. Like for example, if you're in the medical field, like I am, you could use those donations to basically buy equity of a company or give them seeding money, but you get equity. So then when that company makes advancements, the shares are going to go up, and then you could sell those shares. So for example, if I give a company $1 million to start, and so I have 50% of the company, their shares are $10 each or whatever, and I own a lot of that, and then they skyrocket to $70 each. I could sell all those shares, so that's tons of money now, and then I can then go and
Mm-hmm.
invest into another company that's starting up, or do whatever to help accomplish the cause of the nonprofit. And so there's a lot of ways to get creative within nonprofits, but it really is going to come down to can you persuade people to care about your cause? So it's a marketing game.
Marketing game. And there's this great TED talk on about nonprofits and how they're kind of like suffering.
Yeah.
There's this whole, and you let me know about this. There's this whole kind of idea about how nonprofits, it's kind of taboo to allow them to spend a lot of money in marketing, more so than on the cause. So if I'm, trying to end world hunger per se, um, it would be kind of taboo for me to spend $10 million on marketing as opposed to $10 million to try and get hunger ended, if that makes any sense. Whereas, in order to get people to donate, you need to market, right? But when you donate to a cause, you want to donate to actually help the kids, that are hungry, if that makes any sense, as opposed to helping with the marketing. So there's this whole kind of paradox about, nonprofits should strictly stick to the cause that they're helping as opposed to trying to expand out.
Hmm. Yeah. So what I would say to that is, people just want to see the cause get accomplished, right? So if you're helping the kids getting saved or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
you're accomplishing the cause. It doesn't matter how we get there. People just want to get the cause accomplished. So they want to see their money go to use, right? They don't want to see their money being wasted. That's for sure. No one does.
Yep.
They want to
Mhm.
see the cause. For me, they want to see Deshane get destroyed. They want to see it be cured. So however that can be done, they want to see it get done. And that's how I think people should treat nonprofits. And I think that's how nonprofits got to look at things is whatever we got to do to get the cause done, to accomplish our cause, we must do it.
Interesting. Yeah, have you heard of the nonprofit Charity Water by any chance?
I have.
Okay, yeah. They have this interesting model where they have two separate cash pools. So you could donate to this thing called the Well, which is the part of their business where they try to get staff and they pay for all the salaries and the office building and the rent and all that stuff, utilities. And then they have this different pool of money where it goes straight to trying to get water wells built in Africa. So it's like you can choose to donate to either one, but you know that 100% of your money is being used for whatever particular thing that you donate for. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting way to be like completely transparent.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
can let people choose,
Yeah.
you know, but really, I think people just want to see the cause be accomplished,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
At the
think that's
end of
what
the
it
day.
comes down to.
Yep. Okay, cool. That was 6 minutes. Any last thoughts?
Nope.
Next one. Hot take number 5, or the last one, which is reading. I think in the beginning of when we started to do these podcasts, we kind of dabbled in it a little bit, right? Reading.
Yeah.
What's the current state of reading for you personally, and then how you view society in terms of reading?
Yeah. So reading to me is something that's really important. I try to read daily. Um, Really, I think I still hold the belief that reading is the fastest way to transfer information to yourself. So if you want to learn something, you could read it. Like philosophy, you could read it and know basically everything about philosophy. And it's such a precise way to get that information because the author, okay, let me really explain my point. When you're writing a book, right, as these authors, these brilliant minds do, when they write a sentence and they don't like it and they don't think it has accurately articulated, explain their point, they'll rewrite it. That's the beauty of writing. They can fix it. They can go back and let me use a different word, or let me add more words. Let me refix this sentence so that it makes more sense to my reader. Now,
Mm,
that being said, the information that they're able to pass on to you is very precise and very detailed. And that's why I'm such a big fan of reading. Seriously, you could just read. Basically, you can learn everything through a book, I would say, except things that, are, being a doctor, like surgery and stuff.
mm,
A lot of stuff, though, you can learn from reading.
yeah.
So I try to read daily and I try to read, um, whatever has piqued my interest and whatever problem I'm trying to solve. I'll pick up a book on it and just read it.
So do you think it's so? Say I want to learn about stoicism, right? And I have an option of reading this 50-page book about kind of what stoicism is
Mm-hmm.
versus watching a 50-minute video about it. Do you think it's more effective to read it or to watch it? Is that kind of what you're kind of getting at, or?
I think it would depend. I think it would kind of depend because, like, who's the author of the book? Who's the speaker of the talk? right?
Oh, oh.
Because
Yes.
credibility matters, you know.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah.
of go back, if it's a guru, don't watch it. So, you know, you kind of have to weigh it there. But I think if it was, put it this way, what's better, the movie or the book?
Usually the book. Yeah.
Oh yeah, usually the book. It's just more detailed. It's just, you know, way more facts to it. And so I would say that reading genuinely is. So if it's the same, if I'm giving a speech or someone can read my book. Don't listen to my speech.
Huh. Yeah. 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 That's interesting. Yeah, and I think it's interesting the way that the your brain processes words differently in terms of like you reading it versus you hearing it.
Mm.
Um, like I was reading a book one time and it was describing some a piece of a lemon wedge that kind of had salt on top of it, and then he slowly would squeeze it and it would come down to your mouth and you would that even me uttering that kind of makes your salivary glands
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of like you start to get perked up by that. And it's interesting how just those phrases could generate that emotion just by reading it. So yeah, so what's the current state of reading right now? In 2020, are people reading more, are people reading less, and how does that make you feel?
I genuinely don't know.
Huh.
I would assume they might be reading more because of quarantine, right? There's less
Okay,
things to
okay.
do,
Yeah.
or they may just be watching more Netflix and YouTube. I don't
Or
know.
more
Or
TikTok.
more
You know what
TikTok.
I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I would hope. I want a society where people read a lot because I think
Mm,
that that's really a great way to be educated. And I think an educated society is a society that is one to be reckoned with, right? Like that's you want a really educated populace. Like good things
yeah,
happen. They
yeah.
become more moral. You know, advancements happen a lot quicker. Who doesn't want an educated
Everything
society?
everything works better when everyone's well educated. Everything. Free speech, capitalism works better. I mean, I don't know, would communism work better if everyone was educated? I don't know. I probably I think
You know,
education.
on that note, though, right? Dictators never want their people to be too smart. They ban
Yeah,
books.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah. Okay, okay.
So,
So,
but that's not real communism, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Maybe under authoritarianism, that wouldn't work ideally if everyone was well educated. Yeah, that'd be a
Hmm.
good point.
Okay, but hold on. I got a really big point. Freedom, right? If you're educated, you are free. I believe it was Frederick Douglass who had a brilliant quote like that. I want to look it up now. He basically said that an educated slave is not a slave or something along the
Mm,
lines of that. I'm
mm,
paraphrasing, but it's a brilliant statement because really, when you have knowledge and you're educated, you do become more free. You understand how things work, so it gives you more freedom to do things, and you also become more powerful too. Education and knowledge is truly power because now you can apply
mm.
it and do things. If I know how to market things and whatever, I can then use that to raise money for my nonprofit and help people, help medicine move forward. That's power, but it all comes from that
Mm.
education. And
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
that from reading.
yeah. I think I don't know. I think educated people are just kind of better net positive for society. You know what I mean? Like if everyone is well educated.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
But then the question becomes, how do you define educated?
good point. Good
Because
point. Yeah,
to me, it's not, it's not. Oh, you have a degree. That's not an education. I mean,
yeah. No, no.
okay, like you
Most
know,
definitely not.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's those two things are not mutually exclusive. And I mean, yeah, how would you define educated? I would say just maybe someone that enjoys, that is continuing to seek knowledge in whatever particular field they're interested in, right? So, like, I mean, obviously, uh, there's so much knowledge in the world. I think Plato had some quote on his deathbed. They asked him what he learned, and he said, "I learned that I really actually know nothing, even though I studied all these different things."
Mhm.
Because just I mean, there's probably a culture in northern Indonesia that is like really complex that we have no idea even exists, right? So there's so much complexities in the world for us to even scratch the surface of its entirety, right? So I would say education in whatever fields interest you and trying to become as much, seek as much knowledge in that field, I think that would be defined sort of as you're in the educated realm. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. What do you think about the current state of reading and all that?
Yeah. I think, I mean, just, kind of speaking to my little brother and his friends, um, it's a lot easier to go on TikTok for 2 hours than to sit down and read a book for 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like it just comes down to a question of like, what's gonna release more dopamine in my brain, right? And that might be just a consequence of like the internet, maybe. You know what I mean? Like if I think, and perhaps education too. That doesn't really work to stimulate reading much. Doesn't really get. I mean, if you get someone excited to read, I think they might make the choice of reading over TikTok. But I don't see that anymore.
Yeah. Well, my response to that is, how bad do you want things, right? Everybody's, I want to be rich, or I want to be successful, or whatever. I want to be a good conversationalist. Well, how bad do you want it? Because books is a tool that can get you closer to that
Yeah.
goal. But then
Hmm.
you go, oh, I don't want to read. I don't want to sit down and do it. Oh, dude, reading's so boring and whatever. And they complain. You don't want it that bad then. Like, stop complaining about it. If you want it,
Yeah.
go and get it. Go read a book. Go on the internet. Find a book to read.
True.
Like, seek the knowledge. Sit down, be disciplined for 30 minutes a day or read 10 pages a day. Do something and get it done. And it gets easier as you do it too. But, like, don't complain about it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think even, dude, and this will be we'll take a couple last minute here. Um, even to succeed in society per se, right? You have to be educated about something. I think the thing is, if you make more than, I think it's like $35,000 a year, you're like above the poverty line or something like that. It might be lower. But in order to make more than that, you have to be educated at something, right? Whether it's like an electrician or a plumber or, a car mechanic or something like that. You have to be educated in something in order to succeed in capitalism, right? And so, yeah, I think, that those two things go hand in hand.
Yep.
Cool. So that was our last hot take. So we did managing work schedules, fake gurus, real estate versus stocks, nonprofit versus for-profit, and reading. 5 hot takes. What do you think about the format? I kind of like it. It like flowed nicely. I think it gives us a lot to talk about. I mean, we covered a lot of different things, right?
Yeah, I like the hot take format. I think we should definitely do more. Yeah, we're definitely gonna do this more.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, give us your feedback, guys. Let us know if you like it. Send us some hot takes if you have any, and we could cover them. So yeah, so this was Conversations with Brian and Elijah, episode number 21.